The unsolved mystery of the Zodiac Killer. New theories and hidden clues. The Zodiac Killer is widely considered to be one of the most notorious and elusive serial killers in the history of the United States. The Zodiac Killer was a notorious criminal who operated in Northern California during the late 1960s and early 1970s. He was known for sending cryptic letters, ciphers, and odd threats to the authorities and the media. The true identity of the Zodiac Killer has not been determined despite the fact that there have been countless investigations and suspects. Over the course of several decades, the case has been the source of a great deal of speculation, with a number of investigators and amateur sleuths asserting that they have discovered new evidence that could one day lead to the resolution of this mystery that has been going on for decades. On December 20th, 1968, high school students Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday were shot and killed in the vicinity of Vallejo, California. This marked the formal beginning of the Zodiac's reign of terror within the terror group. The Zodiac would go on to kill at least 3 more individuals over the course of the following year, despite the fact that he claimed to have killed as many as 37 people. His tendency of attacking young couples in isolated regions earned him a frightening reputation. His victims were often ambushed in a manner that suggested the killer had methodically planned the crimes. This characteristic contributed to the fearsome image he developed. On the other hand, the Zodiac Killer's interaction with the press and law enforcement was the primary factor that distinguished him from other criminals operating during his time period. Beginning in 1969, the Zodiac began sending a series of taunting letters to newspapers in the Bay Area. These letters contained cryptograms, threats, and terrifying insights into his own psychology. One of these messages contained a cipher that the Zodiac said would reveal his identity. He provided this cipher in the letter. Among the 4 ciphers that were transmitted by the Zodiac, only one, which was referred to as the 408 cipher, was instantly deciphered. The alarming statement that was disclosed was as follows: "I enjoy killing people because it is so much fun with me." On the other hand, in spite of this unsettling confession, there were no hints that pointed to his identification. The most notorious cipher used by the Zodiac, known as the 340 cipher, went undiscovered for more than half a century until it was finally decrypted in the year 2020 by a group of amateur codebreakers. Despite this, it did not yield any substantial leads to his identity. Throughout the entirety of his spree, the Zodiac would continue to send letters, frequently making fun of the authorities for their inability to have him apprehended. As far back as 1969, he even called onto a television show and claimed to be the Zodiac, although the veracity of the caller is still up for debate. The Zodiac also claimed culpability for murders that were never officially linked to him in his letters, which added to the confusion that was already associated with the situation. Investigators were further frustrated by the killer's apparent craving for attention, which, when combined with his elusive personality, made the situation much more difficult. The Zodiac provided in-depth details of his criminal activities, but he did not provide any genuine identifying information. Over the course of many years, numerous possibilities have been proposed as possible candidates for the Zodiac's true identity. Arthur Lee Allen, a convicted child molester from Vallejo, who fit several of the descriptions that the police had created of the Zodiac, was one of the most convincing suspicions. These profiles were created by the police. There was circumstantial evidence that connected Allen to the crime. This evidence included the fact that he was in possession of a wristwatch brand Zodiac and that he was in close proximity to some of the murders. In spite of the fact that multiple investigations were conducted, DNA and fingerprint comparisons were unable to conclusively link Allen to the killings. As a result, Allen passed away in 1992 without ever being charged with a crime. Another major possibility surfaced in 2014, when a group of investigators asserted that the Zodiac Killer was Gary Francis Post, a house painter who had passed away and had served in the Air Force. With the help of a number of pieces of circumstantial evidence, such as cryptic anagrams and physical similarities between Poster and a police drawing of the Zodiac, this theory gained steam and gained support. Critics, on the other hand, contend that this theory does not have any clear forensic evidence, and a great number of professionals continue to be skeptical. There is a possibility that the person responsible for the Zodiac case had prior experience in either law enforcement or the military. This is one of the most perplexing mysteries surrounding the case. A number of investigators are of the opinion that the Zodiac's ciphers, cryptic symbols, and seemingly scientific approach to killing are all indicators that they have a background in intelligence work. In his letters, the Zodiac frequently made references to military codes, and the fact that he used firearms and evasive maneuvers gave the impression that he was extremely disciplined. On the other hand, there are many who contend that the Zodiac's public taunting and desire for celebrity are not consistent with the profile of a trained professional. Instead, they portray a picture of an individual who is narcissistic and possibly crazy. Additionally, the investigation has been given a fresh lease on life as a result of recent technical breakthroughs. The employment of forensic genealogy, a technique that was famously utilized in the capture of the Golden State Killer in 2018, is one of the most promising advances that has taken place. An examination of DNA evidence obtained from crime scenes and a comparison of that evidence with genetic profiles found in public ancestry databases are the two components of this method. Although the letters of the Zodiac and other physical evidence have been examined for DNA, the samples are frequently too deteriorated or fragmentary to produce conclusive results and hence cannot be used. However, some researchers have come to the conclusion that it is only a matter of time before a match is discovered, as a result of the advancements that have been made in the science of DNA sequencing. According to many people, the Zodiac Killer's ciphers continue to be the primary focus of the inquiry because they are believed to be the key to solving the case. In the year 2020, a group of codebreakers from all around the world succeeded in breaking the notorious 340 cipher, which had caused cryptologists to be perplexed for more than half a century. Although the cipher did not reveal his name, it did contain yet another taunt, which read as follows: "I hope you are having a lot of fun trying to catch me. I have no fear of the gas chamber, since it will ensure that I arrive at heaven far sooner than I would otherwise." Despite the fact that this was a big breakthrough, it did not get the detectives any closer to identifying the person who committed the murder. The decoding of the 340 cipher has reignited interest in the case, and many people are now working on solving the remaining ciphers. This is despite the fact that the lack of identifying information presents a depressing situation. The large number of amateur investigators who have become involved in the investigation of the Zodiac case is one of the features of the case that is considered to be among the most intriguing. The insults and cryptic notes that were sent by the Zodiac Killer aroused a public fascination that has persisted and continues to this day. Discussions of suspected suspects, clues and ideas related to the case can be found on websites, blogs, and online forums that are specifically dedicated to the investigation. This inquiry that was conducted with the help of the general public has resulted in the discovery of fresh clues. Yet, it has also contributed to the dissemination of false information and speculation. Many people who are interested in Zodiac refer to what they consider to be hidden clues in the letters, drawings, and ciphers, which were left by the killer. Some ideas propose that the Zodiac had a personal grudge against one of his victims, or that his murders were part of a bigger, more organized scheme. Both of these hypotheses are supported by evidence. Some people believe that the Zodiac was actually a collection of people, rather than a single individual with a particular personality. These concepts, despite the fact that they are intriguing, continue to be speculative because there is no evidence that can be provided to support them. It is widely acknowledged that the Zodiac Killer case is among the most intricate and persistent mysteries in the annals of modern criminal activity. The identity of the murderer has not been determined, despite the fact that the investigation has been going on for decades, that there are countless suspects, and that forensic technology has advanced. The investigation into the case is still ongoing, and both law enforcement agencies and amateur investigators are continuing their hunt for answers to the questions that have been raised. It is still possible that the mystery of the Zodiac Killer will one day be solved, and there is still optimism that this will happen as more evidence comes to light and as investigative techniques continue to advance. Until that day comes, the identity of the murderer will continue to be cloaked in rumors, theories, and the frightening legacy of a man who terrorized Northern California more than half a century ago. Would you like it? Hit the like button and subscribe to our channels for more interesting and informative videos.